Near Plataea, Boeotia. On one side stands Mardonius, with the largest Persian army still in Greece, around 120,000 men, including infantry, cavalry, archers, and Greek allies still fighting for the empire. On the other stands the largest Greek coalition ever assembled on land against Persia, perhaps 70,000 men, led above all by Spartans and Athenians. If the Persians win here, Greece is finished. The last united resistance collapses, and the Greek world is left at the mercy of the Persian Empire. The problem is that the Greeks are already fighting this battle from a weakening position. The Persians control the open ground with cavalry. They can ride in, throw missiles, harass exposed units, threaten movement, and pull back before the Greek infantry can force close combat. They can pressure supplies, they can disrupt communication. And now the Greek position is getting worse. Their access to water is no longer secure. And it is a coalition army, harder to coordinate, slower to react, and more vulnerable to confusion under pressure. Pausanias commands the Spartan side of that alliance. Aristides stands with the Athenians, and both men are facing the same reality. The longer this army stays pinned in a bad position, the more the battle begins to favor Persia. This is the field where Persia can finish the conquest of Greece. And by the end of this video, you will see how that pressure pushed both armies into the decisive battle of the Greco-Persian Wars. From the Persian camp, Mardonius watches the Greek ridge through drifting dust. An officer beside him points toward the Spartan line.
Should we send the infantry?
No. Send the cavalry first.
The horsemen move out in waves across the plain, not charging straight in, circling, testing, closing just far enough to throw arrows and javelins before wheeling away again. The pressure builds near the Megarian position first. That part of the Greek line sits exposed on open ground with little cover against cavalry. Persian riders begin cutting across the flank almost at will. Arrows slam into shields. Javelins hit packed formations. The Megarians try pushing forward, but the horsemen are already gone before contact comes. A wounded messenger breaks from the line and runs toward the Athenians.
We need archers!
Athenian archers move forward to stabilize the flank. Soon the entire sector disappears into noise and dust. Persian cavalry circling, Greek arrows returning fire, men shouting through clouds of dirt kicked up by horses. And in the middle of the chaos, a Persian commander named Mecistius rides too close to the line. An arrow strikes his horse. The animal rears violently and throws him into the ground. Greek soldiers rush him before he can stand properly. Mecistius fights back hard. Several blows glance off his armor without killing him. The Greeks crowd tighter around him. One soldier finally drives a spear through a gap beneath the scale armor. Mecistius collapses. And for a moment, the fighting slows. Persian cavalry begins pulling back from the ridge. The death of one of their most respected commanders sends a visible shock through the line. Across the Greek position, the reaction is immediate. Shields slam against spears, men shouting in celebration. For the first time at Plataea, the Greeks have proof that Persian cavalry can be resisted. But from the camp, Mardonius remains calm. Because tactically, very little has changed. The Greeks still hold the ridge, still depend on vulnerable supply lines, still cannot safely descend onto the plain. And the longer they remain there, the more the battlefield continues to favor Persia. After the death of Mecistius, the battlefield settles into a tense silence. Neither army attacks. The Greeks remain on the ridge. The Persians hold the plain below. An officer studying the ridge beside Mardonius says quietly,
They still won't come down.
Then we make sure they can't stay there.
Then the cavalry starts appearing everywhere, not in one great assault, in small groups, along roads, near supply routes, around the edges of the Greek position. The cavalry stops hunting only soldiers. Now it starts hunting wagons. A supply convoy moving through the passes of Kathyron suddenly comes under attack before reaching the camp. Mules collapse under arrows. Wagons overturn in the road. Drivers abandon supplies and flee into the hills. From the ridge, Greek soldiers watch smoke rising in the distance. Then messengers start disappearing. Foraging parties stop returning. Every road below the ridge now has Persian cavalry somewhere on it. And eventually, the pressure reaches the Gargaphia spring. At dawn, a group of Greek soldiers arrives carrying water jars. Then they stop. Persian horsemen are already inside the spring, horses trampling through the water, archers watching the approaches, mud spreading through the basin. One of the Greeks stares at the spring for a moment, then turns back toward the ridge.
We can't use it!
By now, the army has been under pressure for days. Little water, failing supplies, no safe route off the ridge without crossing ground controlled by cavalry. Men are not dying in one catastrophic attack. The position itself is dying, and everyone in the Greek camp can feel it happening. That night, Pausanias gathers the allied commanders. The atmosphere inside the council is exhausted and tense. Officers arrive carrying reports from the roads. Others still covered in dust from cavalry attacks near the spring.
There's no water left on the ridge.
And every road below us belongs to Persian cavalry.
No one argues. Outside the tent, thousands of soldiers are already sitting thirsty in darkness. Pausanias studies the map spread across the table, then points south toward Plataea.
We move here, near the island. Better ground, better water.
Aristides nods once.
It keeps the army together.
Then we move tonight.
The decision spreads through the camp almost at once. Pack the lines, quiet the fires, prepare to withdraw before dawn.
This is not retreat. We fight again tomorrow.
But even he understands how dangerous this movement is about to become. This is not one army. It is Spartans, Athenians, Corinthians, Megarians, dozens of contingents with different officers and different instincts. And now, all of them have to move silently across open ground in darkness while Persian cavalry waits somewhere beyond the ridge. One delayed column, one wrong turn, one unit losing contact in the dark, and the entire line could come apart before morning. Still, the order goes out. Move tonight. The withdrawal begins after midnight. The center moves first. Torches disappear into the darkness below the ridge as thousands of men begin marching south. At first, the movement stays organized. Then the line starts drifting. The center keeps marching farther than it is supposed to, past the regroup point, past the fallback position, all the way toward Plataea itself. Messengers sent to stop the movement struggle to find the columns in the dark. By the time anyone realizes what is happening, the center is already scattered and out of contact with both wings. On the left, the Athenians stand waiting for orders that arrive late or contradict each other. Some units begin moving, others stop completely. Officers argue quietly beside the road while men wait in formation, not knowing whether to march or stay. And on the Spartan right, the withdrawal suddenly freezes altogether, because a Spartan commander, Amompharitus, refuses to move. Pausanias rides to him directly.
We withdraw now. Spartans, do not retreat from the enemy.
This is not retreat.
We hold the line!
Amompharetus points back toward the Persian campfires burning across the plain. Time disappears while they argue. Behind them, the rest of the Greek army is already drifting apart in darkness. Eventually, Pausanias gives the order for the Spartan column to move without him, hoping Amompharetus will follow once the line begins leaving. At the last possible moment, he finally does, almost too late. By the hour before dawn, nobody on the ridge can see the full Greek line anymore. The center has marched too far south. The Athenians are stalled. The Spartan right is moving separately across the plain. And from the Persian camp, the movement looks exactly like collapse. At sunrise, Persian scouts arrive almost immediately.
The ridge is empty!
What?
Mardonius rides forward to see it himself. The Greek position that held for 11 days is breaking apart across the plain, dust rising from moving columns, units no longer aligned with each other. An officer beside him smiles.
They're retreating.
For days, the seers had warned against a direct attack. Every morning the answer had been the same: wait. One of the officers reminds him carefully,
The omens still warn against pursuit.
but Mardonius keeps watching the Greek withdrawal. Then he sees something critical. The Spartans are separated from the Athenians. The center is nowhere near either wing. The Greek line is no longer a line. He makes the decision instantly.
They are breaking! Advance!
The cavalry moves first, not probing anymore, charging. Horsemen race across the plain trying to reach the Spartan column before it can reform near Plataea. Behind them, the Persian infantry begins moving forward at once. Persians, Medes, Bactrians, thousands of men descending across the field together. For 11 days, the battle had been pressure. Now suddenly it becomes pursuit. And across the Persian line, men begin shouting to each other that the Greeks are finally running. As the Persian advance accelerates, Aristides sends forces toward the Spartans.
Move right! Support the Spartan line!
The Athenians begin crossing the plain immediately. Then shapes begin emerging through the dust ahead. Rows of shields, Greek armor, Theban banners. One officer stares across the field toward the Spartan position far to the west.
We're cut off!
The Thebans keep advancing, not a screening force. An entire line of Boeotian and pro-Persian Greek infantry moving to block the crossing. The Athenians turn to face them. And suddenly Plataea becomes two separate battles happening at the same time. On the right, Spartans and Tegeans are absorbing the full weight of the Persian advance alone. On the left, Athenians crash into Theban hoplites, trying to pin them in place before they can reinforce Sparta. Dust now covers most of the plain. Neither wing can clearly see the other anymore. Messengers trying to cross the battlefield disappear into the fighting. No one knows which side is winning. No one knows who is still holding. The Greek alliance that arrived together is now fighting in fragments across miles of battlefield. As the infantry formed behind the wicker shields, the cavalry withdrew from the front, giving way to the archers' volleys. On the Spartan right, the pressure becomes unbearable. Arrows fall continuously into the Spartan and Tegean formations. Men are hit while standing still. Shields crack under impact. Persian cavalry threatens the flanks, while archers behind wicker shields pour arrows into the Spartan line. Pausanias still does not order the advance. Near the rear of the formation, sacrifices are performed again and again. The signs remain unfavorable. Another volley slams into the line. The Spartans hold position, bleeding, waiting, holding shields over their heads while Persian arrows continue falling around them. Then the Tegeans begin moving forward, charging. One Spartan turns and sees the Tegean line already stepping toward the Persians without the signal. At almost the same moment, Pausanias performs another sacrifice. This time, the omens change. The order finally comes. The Spartan line surges forward, not sprinting, not screaming. A controlled wall of bronze and shields driving across the last stretch of open ground. Persian archers keep firing until the Spartans are too close to draw properly. Then the distance disappears. Shields collide. Spears punch into packed formations. Broken shafts vanish beneath pushing bodies. Now men are fighting face to face in dust so thick, entire sections of the battle disappear inside it. The Persian line bends backward. Men keep fighting even as the front ranks begin dying where they stand. Still the Spartans keep pushing, step by step, driving the Persian center backward across the plain. In the center of the fighting, one figure keeps appearing through the dust, a black horse. Mardonius. He is close enough to the front that Persian troops can still see him directing the battle in person. The fighting around him becomes some of the hardest on the field. Spartans pressing forward, Persian guards trying to hold the center together. Then suddenly, the black horse disappears. At first, almost nobody understands what happened, but the reaction spreads quickly. Mardonius fell. Units near the center begin slowing. Some Persian soldiers start looking backward toward the camp instead of forward toward the Spartans. Officers begin shouting conflicting orders. The line starts losing shape. What had been a steady Persian advance begins folding backward in sections. At the same time, on the opposite side of the battlefield, the Athenians are still fully engaged with the Thebans and Boeotians. The fighting there is brutal. Shield against shield, Greek against Greek. Neither side breaks for a long time. Then gaps begin opening in the Theban line. A few men fall back. Then more. Soon, entire sections are retreating toward Thebes. And almost simultaneously, both Greek wings begin pushing forward at once. The Spartans break the Persian center. The Athenians break the force trying to hold them in place. Only now does the battlefield begin turning from survival into victory. The surviving Persian troops run for the fortified camp. Thousands of men pour through the entrances almost at once. Inside the enclosure, officers try desperately to reform units behind the walls and wagons. For a moment, the defenses hold. The Spartans reach the perimeter first, but struggle to force their way through the barricades. Missiles continue flying from inside the camp, then shouting erupts near one section of the wall. The Tegeans have found a weak point, wood splinters. Part of the barricade collapses inward. Greek troops begin forcing their way through the opening. The fighting spills inside immediately. Now the enclosure becomes chaos. There is almost no room to maneuver. Persian soldiers trying to retreat crash into troops still trying to fight. Men are trapped between wagons, walls, and bodies, with nowhere left to move. Then the Athenians arrive at another section of the perimeter and break in from a second direction. Panic starts spreading through the camp. Some Persian troops keep fighting. Others try climbing over the barricades to escape. Many are simply crushed inside the enclosure as the Greek attack closes from multiple sides. What began before dawn as a Persian pursuit of a fractured Greek withdrawal ends before sunset in the destruction of the largest Persian army left in Greece. The Spartan line breaks the Persian center. The Tegeans open the camp. The Athenians help finish the collapse inside the enclosure. And with that, the invasion dies. Persia remains one of the most powerful empires in the world. But after Plataea, it will never again attempt a full conquest of mainland Greece. Athens survives. Sparta survives. The alliance survives, and the Persian wars come to an end. But history doesn't end here. Watch the next video now.